Hello, YouTube viewers. Welcome to the third video on the Monkey Speaks channel. This is my good idea. A lot of the other things are just really criticisms and ways I like other people to make things in opinions and stuff. But this is the idea that I've been protecting. This is the idea that I haven't talked to with any other friends or anything. On GTA Online, there's one of the radio stations in, on GTA 5 where there's like, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. What you do is you listen to the smartest person in the room and you write their ideas down and then you go use them. Or I'm paraphrasing, but I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the room, but this is my idea. And if I feel if I would even say it out loud in my own house, it would be taken. But it wouldn't exist anyway. I don't live in a world where I can even think about like agents and lawyers and stuff. I don't have the mental capacity to be responsible for like a bunch of other people's money and stuff. There's a guy who kickstarted a TV show, no, a movie. It was a TV show or a movie. And man, if I didn't have the problem I have, I would do that. Or the problems I have, I would do that. And also, if I didn't have the recent health scares that I've had, I wouldn't be making this video either. I'd just been keeping it all to myself. But if I do get better and everything goes better, I would want to be a part of this because I bought it up, and also because I have a lot to contribute to it. That I think I contribute to it. You'll see why. Now, if you want to contact me, you contact me through the email monkeyspeaks@hotmail.com, and then once this goes down, I'm going to have to deal with just one person. I can't deal with groups of people. I'm not going to be flying anywhere and being part of meetings. I can't talk and focus on like more than one person at a time. When I get surrounded, I feel like I'm being conspired against. And there's a bunch of other things that are kind of like that. Now, first of all, the things that I want is I want character design on some of the characters, at least like 3 of them. I like to at least pretend and play at being like Brian Fraud from Labyrinth, or like Wayne Barlow, who did a lot of the character design on Avatar and stuff like that. But I'm not saying I'm like them, but this will give me the chance of kind of doing it, getting to do the thing they do for that thing, the character design. And I want 2% of the net profit of what this thing makes. I think it could last for a while. And the reason I say 2% is because the Edison thing where he's like genius is 94% perspiration and 2% inspiration. And I know that brainstorming a project is the funnest part of doing a thing. And a lot of people think of a bunch of stuff and then they go try to sell like those different things. And I'd like to be an advisory in the game mechanics, but on my channel I'm going to keep putting in game mechanics that you'll see what's important to that, and you'd want me to be part of that anyway. Now that being said, I'm not saying that's going to happen. You're like, you think you're going to do this and then you're going to get that? No, I think I'm going to do this. I know this thing's going to happen, but I don't think I'm going to get to be a part of it. And it's weird because it's like I have like 100% confidence this is going to happen, and then 0% that they're going to, not 0 because if it's 0 I might not do it at all, but pretty low percent chance that I'm going to get to do it. There's a really good comic book. It's called The Killing Joke, and it's a Batman. Is Brian Boland is artist. Alan Moore writes it, but they get to the end. And I'm not going to tell you the joke because the people that I'm trying to reach with this thing are going to know the joke, and they're going to at least know someone that knows the joke at the end of it. But the joke involves like escape asylum patients and flashlights. So that's the clue you get. And it's like, yeah, I believe in positive thinking. I believe in magic. I believe in miracles. It can happen. But man, I don't believe in people. Nope. Because I don't know. Well, no, I do know, but I don't have to go into that. The genesis of this idea, besides all the things you see in this picture before you, but the real genesis for this idea, for this TV show, was when I was watching Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge. And the episode that really started, that kicked off, like, oh, okay. And then, like, from there, it just more ideas and more ideas until it became like like an almost fleshed out thing. And it's the episode called Heads Up. They had Donald Faison. I'm hoping I'm saying his name right, or Faison, and he's the guy from Scrubs. He's the host of Winsanity. But they had him be part of the Creature Shop Challenge. And the Creature Shop Challenge that he was in. Oh, okay. Also, I'm doing this on YouTube. You're like, why would he do it on YouTube? I'm doing it on YouTube again for the publishing, and also people on YouTube watch other people on YouTube, and they're pretty good about going like, well, this is where I got this, and they give credit, so because the publishing date on YouTube shows you said it at this time. That's why I did this. Also, if you watch my 2 previous videos, you're like, man, this guy talks slow. He's hard, like, oh my goodness. On this one, I speeded it up a little bit. Like, I just put it on fast, but just like 1 increment of speed up. So, which actually puts me closer to normal, to where it's funny because you can understand me better, and you don't have to sit through as long of pauses than my normal speaking voice is. If I actually speed it up a little bit, it's actually more decipherable. But anyway, this Creepy Shop Challenge, they had Donald Faison dressed up like a wizard, and they had like all these different Muppets on the wall that these creators have made, and then they have puppeteers doing the puppets and stuff. And it's like, it's like the stag on the wall or the moose head on the wall, but they're all these made up creatures. And the wizard that played, Donald Faison doing the wizard thing, he interacts with all of them. He talks to all of them. And then one of them wins. And then like the guy who won, there's like 2 that was really good, but the one guy that won the Creature Shop at the end of it was like real good. But there was like a bunch of them that were like real good too, but not as good as him. But I was like, well, shoot, they might not work for, they might not be good enough to work for Jim Henson or the Henson Creature Shop. But man, they could still go on their own somewhere, or someone could utilize them in some way and do something. But I was real impressed with a lot of their things. And okay, so in this idea, and it's a game show idea. It's a game show idea where it's like D&D game show, but not D&D, because you can't do the D&D game show, because a game show has to be succinct. It has to be like bim bim bim. It has to be like this and this and this, and you can't have like in D&D it's all, you have to be like it's descriptive, and then they gotta think about it, and then there's always like a bunch of rules, lawyering. Yeah, I think I've said that right. And it just you couldn't make a D&D game show. But from D&D, there's been so many other different things from D&D. There's like all sorts of tabletop games, card games here. Like I got this Munchkin box up here. There's all these video games, like there's Dragon Dogma, Skyrim. And then all sorts of things like that. And so what you really need to take from is the various like prestige board games and the video games to make this, because you can't do it like D&D. Now, how I would do it in like Donald Faison plays like a wizard, right? And what I would do is I'd make one guy, and then a lot of the game shows they all have they're all comedians now. Most of like the game shows they used to have like people that were game show hosts, and then now they're all being either comedians or comedic actors of some kind. And I want to do it like one step further. Like I want a comedic actor, but I don't want the comedic actor to be the comedic actor. I want the comedic actor to make a character specifically for this TV show, and and then plays it over and over again, sort of like Elvira or Singuli, but like a wizard overlord of a dungeon. That kind of a thing. And the whole thing, and then there'll be like there'll be him at a podium of some kind, and then there'll be a big video screen, and on the big video screen is where the monsters are going to show up. The overlord or the wizard will interact with the the monsters as if they were. They're not going to be heads, but they're going to be, you know, like. And I'm not saying to make them all Muppets, which would be awesome, but like make them like a mixture of Muppets, and then animated, and then, you know, live action. Y'all remember like Remote Control? Remember there's like a game show called Remote Control, and every once in a while they have like a character come out. One of them was like Stud Boy. It was like Adam Sandler, right? And then that kind of thing. Okay, and then on Syllabus, on and then Let's Make a Deal, the Wayne Brady one, the recent one, they have the dice ramp thing, where and I really like that, the dice ramp thing, and it reminds me of like The Price is Right, the dice game. I like the dice game. My favorite is Yodeler, but the dice game is good. Tinko's awesome, but from being a kid, I like the Himalayan Yodeler. Well, anyway, the dice game I like that, and then the way the Wayne Brady people did the dice game, I like that. And then even though I'm showing you the D&D dice, I wouldn't use those dice. I would use six-sided dice like they use, and then I would set up some kind of rolling mechanism. And you don't have to. You can make it like a video, a random thing on the TV screen. But just rolling real dice is just so much better, and I think it'll end up being more entertaining. But don't use the D&D dice. Use like a lot of the. It's like meeples, like, you know, like a lot of the Prestige game has meeples. A lot of them have like, this is like an old X-Men game, like a board game I have, and it's got six-sided dice, but they like say like two of them are this, and then but when we really go into game mechanics, I'll explain a bunch of why that's important to do instead of the D&D dice. You know the D&D dice are the Platonic shapes. You know the Plato guy, the Greek Plato guy. Those specific shapes are the Platonic shapes that you're supposed to, like, he had something where, like, you know, where like if you're supposed to like contemplate on those shapes, and they'll help you reach a higher level of intellect or consciousness or something. And then that always made me kind of giggle a little bit, because it's like Platonic means no sex, right? And then like the D&D dice are the Platonic shapes. You'll see them in Albert Durer's etching of the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. Albert Durer. Well, anyway, that's okay. Where are we at now here? All right, now the whole thing is this guy is like a wizard, and he's real proud of his dungeon, and he collects like all these different monsters, all these different kinds of adversaries, and he just can't stand that these people think that they can beat his dungeon. So what he does is he kidnaps 3 people at a time. And like Trelane in the Star Trek episode, where he kidnaps them. And also, this is like a standard storyline like archetype of where like this has been around for a while. Like this is one where like the role players get sucked into the role playing world, and then you know the Dungeons and Dragons animated series, and then there's a new one that called like Die. Well, there's the Image comic called Die, and then I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other ones. So this is a standard archetype of it's kind of like a fantasy, like people who role play always like, I'd like to go into the world. I have a friend always talking about like, man, if you saw a portal and you could go right into Earth, why don't you just run right into it? And you know, yeah, that'd be great, but you might get eaten by some shit. Well, anyway, what am I? Okay, now he kidnaps 3 people that they think they're role players or whatever, Dungeoneers, however you want to say it, and they have to assume these 3 roles of a wizard, a fighter, and or a thief. Now, the reason I say these 3 things is because they're the main things. There's clerics and other things and that stuff, but you don't want like a healer, cleric dude. You don't want a war with attrition, that kind of thing, because you want things to be succinct. You want things to be bim, bim, bim. You want things to be like that. You don't, because it's a game show, right? And so they have to assume these 3 different roles, and they're just like contestants standing next to each other and setting the just like they work together. I'm saying make it a co-op thing. You see the Munchkin thing there, and the Munchkin's not co-op, and then like maybe if you don't make it a co-op, whatever. But the thing I'm selling is a co-op. But the more important thing is the character interaction. When the creature or whatever appears on the screen, the wizard has interaction with the character, and then the character and the wizard taunt. I guess if you're not taunt you, they taunt the guys. So that's those guys, and they say they have a rebuttal and so forth. So it's like a conversational thing before the fight starts. So there's that interaction. Now this story is important because this is kind of goes into why you want to do it this way and why it's enjoyable. I have some friends, and then one of the guys was like a guy we could get to DM a lot. And I'm one of them guys that I'm a role player, but I maybe only DM like 3 times. I stress out when I DM, but I was visiting my friends who live out by Pink in a trailer house, and usually we play in town in like a huge group, not huge, but about 8 people. But I got lucky one day, and I showed up out there, and my friend was DMing to my other friend who was the older brother to another friend, and then they had the middle sister, and so it was a treat that she was there too, and they were playing D&D, and I didn't know they was playing D&D. I just come out to visit and hang out, and they were like, oh, there's Jerry, and so I'm like, oh, you know, and then my friend who was being the dungeon master, he had the good sense to say, all right, damn it, that's my name. Well, it's a first name, and people who know me ain't going to be hard to figure out who I am. Anyway, it's not my last name. Though, like I said, I'm not trying to hide my identity. In previous videos, you can know I have reasons for making the videos like this. Okay, well, he's like, I don't want to sit here and have you make a character, and we all have to sit to make you a character. But I'm going to let you play, and I'm going to let you be a guest NPC. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll be a guest NPC. And they were doing a Dragonlance game, and he wanted me to play a Draconian. And I guess he was a Draconian cleric of some kind, because one of my friends' older brother was playing a ranger of some kind, and then the younger brother was playing like somebody who wore armor, some kind of fighter that wore armor. I forgot what the sister was playing, and so I'm not the DM, but I'm not the player. I'm an NPC. I'm a person assigned to play an NPC, and I utilize things that I think the DM would have not used. And man, I had a blast doing it. Because I was like, first of all, they was trying to get in a castle, and it was that whole thing where you're around a parapet, and I'm running around my parapets looking down at the towers, and they're shooting arrows at me, and all sorts of try to get in. And I had like some other people that I could order around, like, go get them and stuff like that. But like the guy that's playing the ranger, I put like a warp wood still on him, run all his arrows in but I couldn't do it with his bow, because his bow was like +1 or something, so I think he was immune to that. But I run all his arrows, and then the younger brother who was playing like a guy with full plate on, I zapped him with heat metal, and the full plate wasn't like magic, so man, he had to take all his armor off. And they did defeat me, they did kill me, but I blew up because Draconians blow up. And I'm not expert on Kryn, I'm not expert on Dragonlance. There's a few people in the role-playing group have read like all the Dragonlance books, but I didn't do that. Okay, but that was a blast. If you watch Stranger Things, if you watch the last thing of Stranger Things, they have like a brother and then a sister, and the brother's doing like the basketball team thing, and he's getting ready to shoot and make the shot, and the sister is playing with the role playing group that the brother is supposed to be playing with, but it's a last chance scenario where she's got a role, and it really shows how exciting it really is. It really is that exciting, and it really is that much fun to watch. But you have to have the interaction. This is the number one thing. If someone steals this and makes their own thing, this is the number one thing you have to do. You have to have character interaction, and then like a heads-up fight, and to make it entertaining. So there's that. Okay, so the thief wizard and thing, you have to be a thief or a wizard, or and like Dragon's Dogma, when you first start playing the game, you go in and it gives you a choice, like you either pick up the sword, you pick up the bow, or you pick up the wand, and that gives you these things. And it's like wizard and sword, and you're going to be a fighter, you're going to be a thing, and then. But and so it's the 3 thing, and then in Skyrim, when you're first coming out of the first dungeon, you go by these I forgot what they call them, like the soul stones or something, where you touch these 3 places and you have the choice of either being like being honored as like a fighter, a wizard, or a thief, and you go up in level, you get level bonus on which one you pick. And then in Gauntlet, which is an older game, it's like, you know, older video game, it's like there's a wizard, there's the barbarian guy, and then there's a thief. Now, Dragon's Dogma, they don't call it the thief, they call it the ranger or strider. And basically what I'm saying is, no matter what you call it, the third one, you know, there's the fighter and the wizard, self-explanatory. The third one, the thief, and then in Gauntlet it's the elf, or it's the ranger. And basically what really is, what will mean in this, is the guy that has the light armor, and he has the bow, and maybe some add things, but whereas the fighter is the guy that has the heavy armor and he's close combat, and the wizard is the squishy guy who has like special things, and then also probably like a really massive damage spell but has a slow wind up, etc. Maybe that started with Robin Hood, because like Robin Hood is basically like a ranger, right? But he was like King of Thieves and a ranger. Is that where that, you know, like everybody's like, well, the thief is a bow guy, and you know, I think that's where that might have been, but that's not important. I would just say thief. In D&D now, there's rogue, and then there's thief, and I think the rogue, I want to go with rogue, and you might want to think of some other thing. I'd think of something, but I'd go fighter, thief, wizard. And when you fight, when they fight whatever, and if you choose to do, if they do like, I would do like a mixed thing. I would do where you have some of them that are Muppets, some of the monsters that are Muppets, then some of them that are animated, and then like have some like people that come in like guest stars that are live action, but they're dressed up like barbarians, or they're dressed up like something, and make it like a mixed media thing, sort of like that Gumball cartoon kind of is. Well, is, but not the exact same thing. Kind of, really, no, really. But where am I at now? Okay, and then like on the first, because you're going to fight three different times. The first time, it's going to be random. You're going to see like a wheel or something on the screen that is showing that it's random on the first person they're going to fight. And it could be like a group of goblins. It could be like you know, just these different low level ones that they got real strong chance of beating. Like I'd say like 80% or more. And if they don't, just too bad. Or if a couple, you know, one of them gets killed, just too bad. You know, and then the wizard dies and they're stuck with the fighter and thief, or whatever situation they get into after that first one. But when they defeat the first one, and they usually will, because you want to make sure they have a pretty high chance of doing it. You want to give each of them individual experience, and then you want to give each of them gold, which will translate into actual dollars. But then, which they'll win for real. And then you want to give them group experience. And with group experience, they can buy like a healing thing that makes everybody in the group heal up halfway. A thing to bring back a character that died, but it can only be brought back between fights. Or maybe a higher level one that you can bring back once during the fight if they want to save up the experience to do that. Or experience, or they can buy a thing with their group experience that lets them re-roll the monster thing. And I want them to like, they know so they can kind of plan around like what they might be fighting, so they have that re-roll to do that. And then the next one, they repeat the first one, they get some individual experience, and then they get the group experience, and then that was 12. There's 12 different kinds of low-level monsters they could end up fighting. The next one is 6. There's 6 monsters they could fight. They can think of what they're doing beforehand and make plans around it, but when the initiative comes, they're stuck with what they decide. So they'll be able to plan a little bit beforehand, and I'm going to skip with this and I'll go back to that. And they can plan around, and they kind of know what they might be getting. And so they can like plan what they're going to do when the next 6 come, and then they're not going to fight 6 times, but there's less. They know these 6 people they might be fighting, and so they can kind of like, well, the wizard will get this, and then so on and so forth. So okay, and the next thing, if they beat that, and there'll be less of a chance. They'll be like down to like 60% chance. If they beat them, then they get more individual experience, then they get more group experience. And oh, by the way, they don't have to spend their group experience they can save up their experience and buy like a perk or a thing later on, which they might want to do, because the third fight, because it's a game show, it has to be succinct, so there's like 3 fights, like a planning stage, and then they fight. They have like 3 bosses there, and they'll be informed on 3 bosses that they might be fighting before it actually happens. So once again, they can plan around it. But once initiative goes, you roll the initiative, and they're stuck with it, and then they fight. And if they beat the last dude, they won. They get some kind of prize. They get T-shirts that they beat this dungeon that this wizard has been holding forever, and so forth. But if they lose, or if like they're stuck with one guy, or they're like, we can't beat this. We're too low in health. We can't beat this next person. They have to say, and remember the idiot test where the guy says, I'm an idiot or something like, I can't beat the idiot test. They all get T-shirts that said that I went to this dungeon and I could not beat these people in this dungeon. And they have like a picture of the guy that plays like the overlord laughing or something, you know. And they all get like that T-shirt and they get like minor prizes. And I say, you know, you're not going to want to make this like a real big, prize thing, because I've watched like Family Feud and Match Game, and they're always happening. Well, we're bringing back this contestant because of something. That's probably going to end up happening. You might want to see if you can have them sign something like, don't gripe about this, don't go as well. We're not giving out like $1 billion, so, and we're, you know, but I don't know if you can actually stop people from that situation happening. And since it's even though it's not full on D&D rules, it's still going to have like the remedial D&D rule kind of thing. So it's going to be even worse than when they have to bring back people that got cheated or unfairly or something another. So you got the three. That's enough for now. I'm going to put that's like 33 minutes. And when I uploaded the last video on YouTube, it took like forever. And I just want to get this out. Like I said on the idea of making Shadowrun into a GTA game, I'm going to make this in the playlist. I'm going to make installments on it, and then you can and so on, and then you can view those installments from the channel. And then I know and then of course I want people to subscribe, like button, all that stuff. But more than anything, tell people about the videos. You know, if you think it's a good idea, and I know it's a good idea, and I know that I'm not a great oratory monologist type person. But don't focus on the way I things and the things I mispronounce, or don't focus on those things. Focus on the idea and the idea I'm trying to convey to you, please. Thank you, YouTube. Bye.